Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world. It is the Exceptional Conservative Show, and it is live from the nation's capital. It's certainly Washington, D.C. We are certainly not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republicans and then to the socialists. But then again, in Washington, D.C., you can't really tell the difference anymore. They all wear the same stripes. They all speak the same talking points. They're all against you before they even start the race. Ladies and gentlemen, the left and the right have overthrown our Constitution. Whether you wish to think so or not, it is the truth. Apparently, I'm live on live stream now. I don't know how that's happening, but it's I'm live on Ustream. I'm also live in your home right now. Good to have Mary, my bouncer, in the chat roll. Love you, Mary. Mary is my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Love you, Deborah Blair. Glad to have you in the chat roll. You come back even after last week, where I was offended. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm trying to do something new tonight via live stream. I don't know if it's going to work or not. So if it doesn't, we'll figure something out. But ladies and gentlemen, I am very glad that you're here tonight. There's a lot for us to talk about. I want to talk about the trip and a wonderful restaurant that I attended. I've been live. Oh, thank you, Mary. Okay. So there's much. There's much I want to talk about. I want to do this very special thing. Rebooting Liberty. High Plains Talk. SHR Media, the Voice of Liberty, Blueberry, Stitcher. Love you all. Thank you for continuing to carry our program. We love kicking it with you. Ladies and gentlemen, you know how we start our programs here. It's very simple. We take off our hat here. We find our right hand. Oh yeah, he happens to be right here on my right arm. And we put it over our chest, yay near the middle where our heart is. Right there, yeah, okay, good. I can hear it beating. I can feel it beating too. It's good to hear it, but it's also good to feel it. And ladies and gentlemen, we prepare, as we always do on our program, to start it off. Tonight we start off with Senora Cabrera, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Buenas tardes, niños. This is Spanish with Senora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, in Spanish, we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa, una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien. Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize. I'll see you later.
And I will see you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, so glad to have you here. And so glad to have you listening to us around the world.
Buenas tardes, niños.
Yes, buenas tardes. Thank you very much. Senora Cabrera, thank you. Great greetings. Good night. ladies and gentlemen, so many great things have happened. First and foremost, and you know I'm not trying to be braggadocio, but I am being earnest in our ranking. We have grown significantly. We have grown greatly. And that growth is showing in terms of our ranking. We rank with Reverb Nation, okay, on their spoken word chart. And I wanted to start off the new year alerting everyone that we have made it in the top 15. I think New Year's Day we were in the top 10 twice in various categories. We lost a little space here, a little ground, but that's okay. We will vault forward. But we were number one in Washington, D.C. We fell back in our national rank from 10th to 11th, and we fell back in our global rank from 11 to 12. And so we are looking forward to continual growth and expansion, and especially doing the very best show that we possibly can do while we're on the air. And you all have made that incredible. God has made it more incredible. And so I'm just enjoying it and hoping, okay, hoping that when we do this and we continue our growth rate, that other things will come from it. So I'm very thankful that, very thankful to the good people at Ustream for helping me out on Sunday, because apparently I had accidentally deleted the video to an American Conservative's Exploration of the Inspired Word of God, where we were talking about money, prosperity, wealth, and money. And you might say, well, how does that have any relationship with God? Well, I tell you, take an opportunity and go back and listen to that. For the next 4 weeks, we'll be talking about that in the scriptures in our Bible study at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. So I was very pleased that the very good people I've tried to get this thing done right here, okay? I think we're going to go with normal quality there. Okay, and see what we come up with. Okay. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. And I am yours truly, the exceptional one. Having to do this because we are going on as well right now with live stream, or at least I thought I was. Okay, so it's, live stream is doing its own thing. We're going to figure that out as we go along. So the good people at Ustream, wonderful job. Thank you all so much for responding to my inquiry on a Sunday, no less. I want to thank the very good people of Ustream. Never had to ask them a question before, and that was the first time, and I was actually in North Myrtle Beach when I had to ask that question, and they were there, and they supported me, so I really appreciate Ustream. While I'm fiddling around with live stream, I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back, and when I come back, I want to talk about how the left and the right have overthrown our U.S. Constitution, and in addition to that, we're going to talk about the Bureau of Land Management. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we'll be talking about. And a lot of people will say, well, you're not, hey, why are you talking about those things, Ken? Huh? Why are you talking about those things? Well, I have to. They're very essential. They're very important. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show, Lost Signal. I'm sorry for all you live stream people out there. Losing signal. We're going to figure out what we can do to make live stream better for you, okay? We will. But for all of you, I want to thank you so much for following the show, listening to the show, and forgive me. You're going to get a lot of lost signals for live stream tonight. They're testing it out. We're testing it out. We want to see how we can improve that because we're growing bigger and better, and I need to improve along the way. So thank you all so much for your patience. When I come back, I want to talk with you also about Fillets Restaurant. Believe it or not, North Myrtle Beach has a top 5 chef how with the ranking. It was a wonderful restaurant to dine at, and I'll talk with you all about that when we get back.
Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape, okay. I like the 6-pack abs, not the 6 packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie, whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. But I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm not type. If you're gone in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe, bye-bye. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy. Left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Left swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Left swipe that. Smoking at the prom. Left swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm gonna walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers, where we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, nice half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
ladies and gentlemen, some of the best food in Washington, D.C., period. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. 301-449-9000. That's 301-449-9000. InfuseInfuse.com. So glad to have you all with me tonight. And Infuse Restaurant, there is no competition for it in Washington, D.C. Absolutely great food. Wonderful food, and I love it. I love it dearly. And encourage everyone, when you have the opportunity, go to Infuse Restaurant. Dan the Man Butcher is making his cameo appearance. Glad to have you in here, and glad to see that you're not wearing your flotation device, sir. Texas has taken a great hit with rain recently, and there is also the hope, unfortunately, the hope that the rain dies down just a little bit. And it also doesn't help when the Houston Texans make it to the playoffs and the Dallas Cowboys don't. So there you go. It was a sad day in Dallas yesterday, and I didn't actually watch the game. I was traveling from North Myrtle Beach after spending time earlier last week in Wilmington, North Carolina, on the beaches there, and then going to North Myrtle Beach. I was in transit. I couldn't pick up the game. I didn't have internet accessibility. I'm from the old school. You turn the radio on and you hope that there's a sports channel somewhere. Got a lot of Christian, gospel, Bible, country, rap, and R&B. One or two classicals, but did not get much of a sports channel until I got towards north of. Where was that? It's Fayetteville, north of Fayetteville. So, unfortunately, I missed most of the game. In fact, I missed all of the game. All I got is the highlights. Okay. But the Redskins won 33-24, baby. They won their division. They beat the Cowboys. They beat Philly. They beat New York. Come on. Life is good. Cowboys suck. Thank you, Dan. Life is good. Life is good. We don't need next week. I mean, really, when you think of it, the Redskins started the season in the power rankings in the NFL at number 32. At number 30. Virtually in fact, I think they were number 33 behind Grandma's football team, and I don't think Grandma finished the season well. But virtually, we were the worst of the worst, the dregs of the earth. There was no one that could have even gathered the thought that we would have beaten the Cowboys this year, or that we would have beaten, that we could have beaten Philly, or even New York. There was no one who was saying that we could even beat any of those teams. And the way we played sometimes, it looked like we couldn't beat any of those teams. But by golly, guess what? We won the division. And Kirk Cousins, congratulations to you. Great quarterback, great leader. Okay. Overachieved. The Redskins are an overachievement. And what really brings me great joy is that on NBC there's that little guy who's been doing sports commentary for so long, and he's afraid to say the name Redskin. Well, congratulations, and I hope the Redskins actually make it to the Super Bowl so that everyone will have to say the Washington Redskins. I really do. That's my desire. That is the ultimate payback for all of these bougie New York broadcasting types who wish to parade their infidelic idealisms onto the fabric of America called football, and judge us accordingly for being so Philistines. Yet, my friends, they will have to bow down and say Redskins. Isn't that wonderful? Dan says the NFC East is the worst division in the NFL. That's correct, but we are the best of the worst. If think of it as Obama whenever he has a cabinet meeting. Think of it that way. Think of it as Obama having a cabinet meeting, especially in the days of Hillary Clinton. Think of it that way, okay, if you would. If you possibly would think of it in any kind of way, think of it that way, okay, literally. Oh, Panthers and Broncos in the Super Bowl. I don't see the Broncos making it. I really don't. I would like to see Cincinnati, put into overdrive, but I don't know. Can I be honest with you all? I don't think the Panthers will make it to the Super Bowl. Ooh. Wow. I just don't. And it's just something about it. I just don't see the Panthers making it to the Super Bowl. And I know that a lot of people will now chime in and say that I am the worst prognosticator in football, especially after my fantasy football season. Reactionaries and Holder, forgive me, and also who was also in that league? I don't know. I was getting beat up so greatly. I didn't even want to be in the football league. And I was doing my very best too. It just didn't seem to ever come together. I either didn't play the players that I needed to when I needed to, or literally it just seemed like everything was failing. Okay, so I don't know. I have to kind of figure that particular thing out for next season. But I must say to you, and for all of those who have just been lost on live stream, I apologize. We're doing our very best with that, and we'll figure out something in the coming days, per se. I love that statement, the coming days. Go to Ustream and watch us via Ustream. You can easily do that at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. I know, Mary, last year I won the whole thing. It was my first year in, and I won everything, but I was so caught up on some other things in my life, and apparently I didn't do a very good job with the drafting. It was just... and after my first week, when I blew away someone, it just went all downhill after that. And so fantasy football for me this year was just a curmudgeon. It sucked. It really... in the world of drama, it was more comedy than it was drama. I can assure you that. I want to tell you all about a fascinating restaurant that I went to. And I'm going to put tonight's show in their message box. And I hope that as many of you all will be traveling throughout the course of this year, some of you all are traveling to the beaches of Myrtle Beach, okay, even Wilmington, North Carolina. It's a little ways off for what I'm talking about in terms of travel, but it's worth it. And in fact, I may have to be, I have to check my schedule and all the arrangements this Martin Luther King weekend. I may be down in South Carolina covering the Tea Party Convention, South Carolina Tea Party Convention, with my beautiful friend Annie. I have to see how things work out, budget and schedule wise. However, if I do go back to South Carolina, I will be driving back through North Myrtle Beach for this fascinating food. It was just, it was absolutely wonderful to behold. The restaurant is called Fillets Restaurant. Okay, it is Filet Seafood Restaurant. Now, I went all out in terms of actually spending some time with my wife and getting away, because in truth, she's asleep right now. She's not listening to the show. She's just absolutely worn out from the weekend, from travel, and then restarting the school year. This is her night from back to school. Okay, and she's not a teacher of, say, for instance, like a high school teacher or whatever. She's no. She's a boot camp kind of teacher from out of preschool. Okay, so these kids have an enormous amount of energy. They got stories they want to tell from their experiences of meeting Santa Claus and what they got for Christmas. And some of them still haven't wiped their nose. Some are just learning how to sit on the pot. Some of them are just behaviorally bad. Not everyone's kid is perfect. In fact, none of them are. And so she's tired. After I have my door closed on my office. Normally I try to keep it open, so if she ever opens the door and try to tell me not to say something while I'm on the air, I can see it. But tonight she's worn. She's absolutely worn. And I love her dearly. I know what she's putting up with, and I pray her strength. But I wanted to show her a good time in Wilmington, North Carolina, and also in Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach. And that's where we stayed for the Saturday, Sunday part of our vacay. And we ate at Filet Seafood Restaurant, 2120 Sea Mountain Highway, Suite 1100, North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'll say that to you one more time. Filet Seafood Restaurant, 2120 Sea Mountain Highway, Suite 1100, North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And there are two people I want you to ask for. Those two people are John and Moni. Moni has been with the organization for, I believe, since its inception, virtually, or near its inception. She's the sweetest woman with the prettiest long hair, well braided and everything, and she was just so sweet. She went to every table. She checked behind everybody. She wanted to make certain that the service was great, that the atmosphere is warm and inviting. Wanted to make certain that we had everything we needed. And she saw immediately in my wife that she loved that vegan kind of crap or whatever, you know, what the seafood or whatever. My wife likes seafood and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. Me, I need bacon. I need something raw. And so I got the signature steak. And I always believe whenever you go to a restaurant for the first time, you order what their signature item is. Because if they can't get that right, there's nothing else worth ordering. And you all know, the professor and I have eaten together in some very nice restaurants in Washington, D.C. and down in Dallas. And so we have a penchant for eating well. Let me just say that. So the signature steak was brought out. And so I was like, I'm not thinking this is going to be all that great. You know, if it was going to be a great 5-star restaurant, why isn't it in Myrtle Beach instead of North Myrtle? You know, I'm thinking all those kind of things. That's what I'm thinking. So I placed my fork into the steak, and it went straight through. There's no wrestling match. There's no fight. There's no and I took the professor. No, the professor went to the Chop House, which was one of the best restaurants that you could eat in Washington D.C. Chop House, right here on 7th Street Northwest. Definitely, when you have an opportunity to come to D.C., eat there. But the steak was picture perfect. I don't know if Dan's still there and understands what I'm talking about. It's kind of like when a woman for her first date wants to make you meatloaf and you cringe because you know it's not going to be very good. Because she's experimenting on you. But you got to smile through it. No smile through it. Absolutely gorgeous steak. Medium well, perfectly. Took the knife and it cut through evenly. Just, placed it in my mouth and the choir began to sing behind me. I am telling you, Filet Seafood Restaurant is just magnanimous. It's right on the river. And the night you could see the lights, you could see the river going. It was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. It was the perfect scenario to take your woman to relax her, to enjoy, and to have a splendid time. And John, if you meet him at the front, John is wonderful. That's a man's man right there. That's 100% man. His comedy is excellent and wonderful. He's a great greeter. And we sat there, and my wife knows that I am a persnickety kind of person. I like things to be in order and decency, and that's why I'm a little bit perturbed tonight about live stream, but we're going to get that together. But it was as if I was watching Henry Ford's Processing. Everyone was in perfect place. No one out of place. There's no arguing. There's no, you get that tape. It was a family atmosphere. If you were missing something, they knew it and they brought it to you. Thank you, Dad. Welcome to the Food Hour with your host, Ken McClinton. Most certainly. I love food. Don't I look like I love food? Yes, I love food. Good food. And you all know I have to go to a break now. But, please, Filet Seafood Restaurant, 2120 Sea Mountain Highway, Suite 1100, North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The best steak outside of Washington, D.C. that I've ever had. It really is. And without a shadow of a doubt, I've eaten in some of the best steakhouses in Washington, D.C. and in other places. And I just want to say, John and Moni and all of you at Filet Seafood Restaurant, your place is certainly 5-star.
I'm a good person. I never bothered anybody. But I can't afford a nice house in a safe neighborhood. I live in a government high-rise. Gangbangers and drug dealers walk down our halls every day. My neighbors and I were scared. We called the police, but they can't keep us safe. Some of us are too afraid to even leave our apartments. But the housing authority told me if I bought a gun to protect myself, they throw me to the streets. If I'm not free because of my address today, what makes you think you'll be free tomorrow? I marched behind Martin Luther King at Selma. I know my rights. Now I have my gun. I am the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
I know you're watching, so pay attention. You hate my freedom, my religion, and my country. You hate me for speaking my mind. You try to control me with violence and intimidation. You think you can muzzle me with fear? Don't ever confuse me for my politicians or my media. I am an American, free-born and free-bred, and I will call you out for who you are. An Islamic extremist who would kill me for my beliefs. You don't intimidate me. My freedom is more powerful than anything you can possibly do, and I will never, never surrender my rights to your terror. I will say what I think, worship according to my beliefs, and raise my children how I see fit, and I defend it all with the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. I cower to no one, because I am the National Rifle Association of America, and I am freedom's safest place.
I'm a mom,
And just like millions of other women, that's why I own guns. We're responsible, we're law-abiding, and we're everything that makes America strong. Every day, we're willing to use a firearm to defend our families. But the media will never tell those stories. If a mom puts a gun to the face of a home-invading thug and makes him run for his life, the story gets buried. But if she's unarmed and murdered, the cameras will be at the scene before the police. It's time for moms like me to speak out. We are the majority. We demand the freedom to defend our families. And we challenge the media to tell the truth about our rights. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
You critics don't define our honor. You try to shame us for doing our job. You teach children to fear us, crowds to attack us, and good people to doubt us. But we will never back down from our sworn duty to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. We wake up every day, put on our badge, strap a gun to our hips, kiss our families goodbye, and put our lives between the law-abiding and any criminal who threatens their rights. We serve people of every color and creed, men, women, and children in violent, dangerous neighborhoods, because they have the same right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as CEOs, movie stars, and the political elite. We are Americans, and we are the American police officer. We stand with the National Rifle Association of America, and the NRA stands with us. Together, we're freedom's safest place.
Welcome back. Party's just getting started. I'm sorry, that clap may sound like a thunderstorm where you are. I'm a powerful man. Only because of what God has put in me. And now I'm able to give back to you. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight to the Exceptional Conservative Show at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. My very good friend Lonnie Poindexter, Lion Chaser radio show, and one of the premier hosts of Urban Family Talk, an ambassador for Christ to the third world and the Caribbean, and just a wonderful human being. He'll be with us at 10 p.m. We'll be talking about Jaden Smith. I don't know about you. Something's query. Something's Caitlyn Jenner like. I don't. What is wrong with? I mean, how do you get from B-more in Philly to a child who's, I don't know. So we'll be talking about that as we go along, and we'll be talking about Will Smith. We'll also be talking about the NRA and the overreach of the Obama administration. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not believe it is an overreach, well, I have some swampland in Washington, D.C. that I'd like to give you. In fact, it's built on Pennsylvania Avenue at both ends, in fact. We'll be talking about the reach of the president on, and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time in this first hour talking about the Second Amendment situation. I really didn't. I don't want to talk too much about that. I'll in the second half of the program, I will spend some time on that. Literally, the grasp of this president in terms of what he is far exceeding the perception as well as the truth. Now it's something it's something to go beyond perception. It really is. But to go beyond truth is just another thing.
The good news is that these are not only recommendations that are well within my legal authority and the executive branch, but there are also ones that the overwhelming majority of the American people, including gun owners, support and believe in. So over the next several days, we'll be rolling out these initiatives. We'll be making sure that people have a very clear understanding of what can make a difference and what we can do. And although we have to be very clear that this is not going to solve every violent crime in this country, it's not going to prevent every mass shooting, it's not going to keep every gun out of the hands of a criminal, it will potentially save lives in this country and spare families the pain and the extraordinary loss that they've suffered.
You know, it's fun to think of ourselves in such a light that for some odd reason, literally, if we say something it just is. But the truth of the matter is, he has a very limited ability to do what he has to do. Its impact will be quite small. The perception of it, however, is another thing. The perception of it. And it goes along this particular way. And I'll be very frank with you. I've been holding back over the past few weeks. For the past 2 months, we've virtually been talking about the essences of what capitalism is, what the Constitution is, Christianity, what conservatism is all about. It's been basically an educational thing. And so I've been reserved in commentary. But I'm not going to be reserved tonight because I believe it's poignant for urban communities to begin rising up, especially against leftists who have left their families, their children, dashed in hopes and aspirations. Because everyone signed on to this utopia, the utopia that comes with gun control. Now, if I said gun control to my grandfather, I never had the opportunity to meet my grandfather. He was the founder of the NAACP in West Point, Mississippi. But trust me, he was not a Obama Democrat. He was certainly a Kennedy. He was probably a Kennedy Democrat by that time period. He didn't believe in abortion and everything else, but he believed the government needed to help people out. That's basically the way it is. Now we have the Obama socialist who tells you that government has to think for you, has to protect you, has to keep you, has to provide for you, has to give you everything. And when we fall short, you aren't to blame government. In fact, you ought to get out of government's way. That's why I have a peculiar opinion, slightly different from Crystal Wright, regarding the Bureau of Land Management issue out in Oregon. No, I am not for taking over federal buildings. But there is a problem here. It is a problem, and understand this, some 30-some-odd% of Washington, I think it's like 40% of Washington, D.C., is federally owned. Understood. It's a federal district. I'm shocked that only 40% of it is owned by the federal government. But when 75% of a state's land belongs to the federal government, now you understand why the 17th Amendment was so essential. It was to force the federal government away from such ostensible tyranny. Now, I am not saying you go in there with guns and take over a federal building. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying people are sick and tired of people turning to the federal government to do everything for the country when we were born, free-bred, to do things ourselves. Why is it always a government program? I talk with people. I just every single day I talk with people, and And it amazes me. How do you get rid of crime in urban America? Well, I got a letter today. Seriously. And trust me, she and I are not on the same page on anything. If she went to a steak restaurant, she would order a fruit roll-up. That's how Mayor Muriel Bowser sent me a letter today at 11 a.m. Well, it was a part of a server. I'm quite certain a whole lot of other people got it, but why would you send this to me? She says, Dear Washingtonian, while crime as a whole was down in 2015, crime as a whole was down. Do you read me, you streamer? Crime as a whole was down. Really? Oh, really? Huh. Must be nice being able to move into your multi-million-dollar home and give accolades of this particular. While crime as a whole was down in 2015, the District of Columbia, like many big cities, there you go. You blame other big cities. It's like people who get into a fight on the playground and someone stops them and says, "Why are you fighting him?" Other people fight. What does that got to do with anything? We're talking about here. We're talking about now. Like many big cities, experience an increase in homicides. Oh, really? As the uptick, and I love it when liberals call it uptick. Kind of like abortion is an uptick. Yeah, it's just killing people. They probably deserved to die. They were probably causing so much problems in the world. Walking the streets after 6 o'clock in the afternoon, they deserve to die. You know, this is what people think and say. Okay, I happen to be around people that actually say it. As the uptick began, we wasted no time and took action. Now, that's problematic there because the uptick began in May, and it wasn't anything of note that you did until maybe September. Okay, between May and September, that's called we wasted no time. Can you imagine what it's like when government does waste time? Oh, yes, I do. It's called DMV. Okay. And took action here. Now, it doesn't mean, and I want you to understand about government. Government doesn't have to be efficient. It doesn't have to be effective. And it doesn't have to have positive outcomes. It just has to show it's done something. It's kind of like your wife leaves. And you're supposed to cook dinner for the kids. And you bring down a cookbook and you put it in front of the kids and you say, eat. I mean, you've done something, but what does that have to do with efficiency, with effectiveness, and with a positive outcome? You're asking, what's this 3-year-old going to do? Come on. All right, so Chief Kathy Lanier and MPD ramped up police presence across the city. Really? How are you going to do that when more people are retiring from the police force than being hired? I had 75 private investigators volunteer to serve to solve cases. Do you know the District of Columbia police said, no, we don't want to work with them. We can do it on our own. We've been doing a good job. I asked him, how many detectives do you have? 58. How many are working on cold cases? 8. So you got 58. Out of that 58 are cold cases. You got 4,000 cold cases. And you're telling me you got more than enough. Too much. Overflow. That's what you're telling me. Don't worry. We're going to fix that. MPD ramped up police presence across the city. The deputy mayor for health. Okay, what does the deputy mayor of Health and Human Services got to do with homicides? Yeah, this is how you know you live in a utopia. Because only a liberal, only a frank libtard will come up with an idea that you're going to social work your way out of a homicide crisis. We're talking from May to August. Or September. I'll give her September. May to September before she does anything. And when she does something, she sends social workers out. Go get them! And the deputy mayor of Health and Human Services provided many grants to community organizations to address the root causes of violence. Really? And actually it's spelled roots. So I was thinking the movie. But the root causes of violence. And to help communities heal. That's Black Lives Matter speak. Yes, the mayor of the District of Columbia, Mayor Muriel Bowser, is speaking Black Lives Matter speak. Helping the communities heal. You need a healing zone. You need a place where people can walk out on the grass and feel it between their toes and say, you know what, I feel a whole lot better now. I will only kill 40 people now instead of the 80 that I had intended. The Department of Employment Services launched new job programs. There you go. There you go. Redistribution of wealth. Whatever it takes, baby. If we got to steal from Robin Hood to give to Betty Crocker, we'll do whatever it takes, baby. We'll start new job programs for at-risk young people. Well, all young people are at risk. Poor, rich, and otherwise. Why are you... Do you know this city spends over $30 million a year on at-risk youth programs? And still 50% of young people east of the river are unemployed. Go figure. Go figure. But I bet you that doesn't stop the payments to BMW or Mercedes. I go on. I digress. And provided them with a productive outlet to get trained and gain employment. Really? Really? How's that employment number looking for them? Not good. Maybe not everybody wants to pick up solar panels and put them on the roof. How's that working? And way back in August, 131 days ago to be exact. Now they get exact with numbers. Okay? I want to let you know a number at 131 days. I believe we were probably at murder number 111 on September the 16th when they had the public hearing. I believe it was September the 18th, forgive me. They had the public hearing. Between 111, at the end of the year, there were 162 murders. So over that 131-day period, they really cut down. We only had 50 some odd murders. Yeah. Now, she proposed a stronger, safer DC, a comprehensive public safety plan to combat violent crimes. And then she says, unfortunately, the council has failed to act on this vital legislation. Enough is enough, she says. We need action now. I thought you already acted. You pushed out $23 million to the social workers. That must have cut some crime. No, it increased crime. Today, I'm crisscrossing the district to meet with residents, businesses, and community leaders to highlight how the proposed legislation will make our neighborhoods safer and stronger. I visited the district's crime lab, a crime lab that cost $200 million to build and didn't open for over a year because it didn't work. To talk about the legislation enabled us to hire more experts to identify violent crimes and bring them to justice. Really, Skippy? Really? Okay. I will have lunch at Mama's Kitchen, a Ward 8 small business that was robbed 5 times in 2015. See, it was Mama's Kitchen that was the problem with the statistics because we know the crime is down as a whole. See, if it wasn't for Mama's Kitchen, we wouldn't have had the crime, so we need to get rid of Mama's Kitchen, right? They want you to know that they could take advantage of proposed incentives for small businesses and churches to install security cameras and lighting that goes directly to the DC government. Anyone see a Fourth Amendment problem here? Anyone? Raise your hand if you see a Fourth Amendment problem here. All right. And also, I will visit with individuals at DC jail. See, that's... since she's about the source, let's go to the source, right? Visit with DC jail who are participating in a work readiness program where we will talk about my proposal to increase good time credits. Good times? JJ! Dynamite! Good Time credits to those with misdemeanor sentences. The effort will help returning citizens. What the heck is a returning citizen? Right? A returning citizen is someone who's traveled maybe to East Africa, maybe Japan, Canada, Mexico, and came back. That's a returning citizen. A citizen who commits a crime is a citizen. His sentence ends, he's supposed to come back into the community, period. It's just, that's the way it works. Returning citizen. Get back on the right track and move beyond a life of crime. We'll take a bite out of it. Now, and then she ends it with this fault here, and then we're going to go to a break, and Lonnie Poindexter will be back with us. Just as President Obama has called on Congress to do its part to stop gun violence, I am calling on the D.C. Council to act by passing the Safer, Stronger D.C. bill as it is or with amendments. It don't matter. Just pass it so I can tell people I did something. Residents need us to work together and avoid further delay. Together, we will make the district safer and stronger. Really? Well, I guess it's working because Chicago already had 2 murders on the first day of the new year, and we haven't had one. So how about that? That's progress. We'll be back. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C. And I want to thank all of the good people that carry our program around the world. I want to thank Rebooting Liberty, High Plains Talk, SHR Media, The Voice of Liberty, Blueberry, and Stitcher, and so many others. Thank you so much. God bless you. We'll be back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you have tuned to the right place. Only here will you get the best in urban conservative talk. Someone who's not ashamed of pissing off the Republicans or the socialists or the Marxists or the nobly intended racists of our time. No. I'm ready to tell you the truth, baby. And I'm so glad you're here. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican, and then the socialist. I want to thank Mary, my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed from our chat room. Over at SHR Media Live on the ExceptionalConservativeShow.com. I want to thank Deborah Blair for easing in here and listening to us. Love you, girl. You get your conservative roots dyed right on in there. And I want to thank Dan the Man Butcher. My boy. High Plains Talk. We love what you do. Keep it up. You know how we started off. Lonnie Poindexter will be up in just a moment. We take off our hat. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's it. I'm feeling you, baby. I'm feeling you. Then we find our right hand and we put it over our heart. And we practice something that every good American practices. That is the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. If you have not tried it, I recommend that you do it now. Go, take it away, Señora Cabrera.
Buenas tardes, niños. This is Spanish with Señora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, in Spanish we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien. Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize it. I'll see you later.
And I will see you now. Thank you, Señor Cabrera. It is a great pleasure to have such dedication to the cause of patriotism and righteousness. I am sorry that we're having problems tonight on live stream. I will be working those particular things out. I really want to get it right. As we are going around nationally and internationally now, and it's just a great demand, and I'm willing to live up to it. And want to thank, most importantly, Mary, my bouncer, for sitting in the chat room tonight and handling everything that's going on. Mrs. Biggs, she's asleep. She's asleep. Shh. She's wasted. It must have been hellacious to have, firstly, coming back from such a long journey that we traveled through over the past few days. And we did our very best to rest, to relax. But I did my shows, and so that takes up a great deal of time. And she was more than gracious in terms of letting me do it. And you all tuned in during that time period. Unlike some other great guests and great hosts, I didn't take time off from my busy life to actually profoundly study and relax. No. I kept doing live shows. So I'm not going to talk about people. I'm not that kind of person. But a person who does deserve a wealth of credit as well as a great relax, a vacay, is Lonnie Poindexter. Lonnie Poindexter, more than just a good friend, but someone who understands the seasons in which we live, the importance of being an American in our day and age, and the reporting of righteousness to the world. There are lots of people that did not want to lose hope, especially after the hiring of a black executive to the highest office in the land, President of the United States of America. But many people are very shaken, very hurt, and are looking for a certain sense of change. And so we'll be talking with none other than our very good friend, Lonnie Poindexter. Good evening, Mr. Poindexter. Okay. And going to have that problem now. You know you're on fire. You know you're on fire. Here we go. We're going to try this one more time. First, a failure with live stream. We'll work on that. We will work on that. But there's been so much, and thank you. And I really wanted to talk tonight about the true war. And I want to thank the good people of Saudi Arabia, firstly crashing into the towers. That's a very good way of waking us up across the world to exactly what's going on. But also now waging war against Iran. This is just what this country needed. Okay? Finally a president who got caught on the worst side of both sides. We're calling Ringy Dingy 1, Ringy Dingy 2, Lonnie Poindexter, the great host. Good day.
Hello there, Lion Chaser. How you doing, brother?
Doing well, sir. It is a great honor and privilege to have you on the air with us tonight.
I don't know about you. Are you headed down to the local store to make sure you buy your as many?
I heard the gun stores are open. I heard the gun stores will be open all night long, selling as much ammo. You won't have to go behind the 7-Eleven to get a gun tonight. All of the guns. Now, I put on my board last Facebook page yesterday the fact that Smith & Wesson has seen a 43% increase in quarterly profits. An increase of 43. Businesses don't make 43% increases, do they?
Not typically, not unless they're a Chick-fil-A or your local gun shop owner. Every time our president goes on his personal mission to make America safer by taking guns away from law-abiding citizens so that the criminals have open season on soft targets.
Now, I want to play this clip for you, and I played it earlier, but I want to play it again because there is this concept by this particular president that his responsibility is to keep America safe by throwing away the Constitution. I want to talk with you about how people are reacting per these comments.
The good news is that these are not only recommendations that are well within my legal authority and the executive branch, but they're also ones that the overwhelming majority of the American people, including gun owners, support and believe in. So over the next several days, we'll be rolling out these initiatives. We'll be making sure that people have a very clear understanding of what can make a difference and what we can do. And although we have to be very clear that this is not going to solve every violent crime in this country, it's not going to prevent every mass shooting, it's not going to keep every gun out of the hands of a criminal, it will potentially save lives in this country and spare families the pain and the extraordinary loss that they've suffered.
So you're telling me that if we could just save one life, it's worth it. So why not get rid of abortion?
And save the lives of 1,800 black babies alone every day. The narrative, I'm sure you know. And here's a $1 million question. What gun owners is he talking about that are in favor of this? Can you find two people in New York City? Was it on Mayor de Blasio's team? I mean, who is it exactly?
He could have only found them in Iran. He could have found them here. Oh my God! Now, curiously, he meets with Loretta Lynch, and you know that they've flaked this out. They worked this out with constitutional attorneys. Since he's not a constitutional lawyer, and certainly not a lawyer, he was debarred. But they were checking on whether his actions virtually are unconstitutional. And he says that they're within his legal authority. Does that mean that they're constitutional?
Yeah, I made sure I put that in quotes in my post on social media today. And let me read to you what I posted along with that clip that you just played. It says, completely bypasses Congress and the Senate because he knows the American people would shoot down, pun intended, this type of legislation. And understand this, not one measure he is talking about with his golden pen will stop gun-related crime because criminals don't obey laws. Only law-abiding citizens will be affected in their ability to protect themselves from said criminals. Our founding fathers were brilliant and prophetic in instituting the Second Amendment. They foresaw what happens when you have a narcissist in charge in the executive branch. Here's the infamous quote, and I put in quotations, well within my legal authority, my being the operative word. And I say, don't forget it, folks. This will haunt us all. Church, stand up. We've got to stand up.
Now, I go to an urban church, and we're talking tonight with Lonnie Poindexter, who is the Urban Family Talks host of Lion Chasers Radio. You need to listen to it between 11 and 1 o'clock Monday through Friday. Not because he's the most handsome man on radio and the most well-dressed.
No, not that.
No, not those. Because he's good at what he does. But Lonnie, where is the urban church? Where are the turbans? How come they're so quiet in the pews, but don't mind preaching about it on Sunday?
It's really interesting that in that, when you think about the urban church, there's still that color line which they will not cross. They don't want to say anything even remotely offensive concerning our president, yet their rights and privileges are continually being eroded away. And let's face the fact that the urban community will be most negatively impacted by this because, let's throw out that stellar fact, which I know you quote all the time on your show, Chicago, known as Chirac, the most stringent gun laws in the nation, yet the highest murder per capita in the nation.
You know, one of the things I find most fascinating is that I hear liberals say that the Constitution should be proceeding. It should be a progressive thing, living and breathing. And I heard a broadcaster on MSNBC earlier today, and it's amazing how whenever you go to an urban facility, somehow MSNBC is playing. Seems synonymous with being black. But the statement was the founding fathers were using the Second Amendment then for that time period, but we have become a more mature nation. Are we losing our senses about us because we want to show how far we have gotten as a nation technologically, economically, certainly by societal standards?
You know, how in the world one can say that we're more mature as a nation when you look at what's taking place across our nation with our freedoms continually being eroded, all under this false pretense of the false doctrine of tolerance and inclusion. The founding fathers, in my humble opinion, put those documents together, and I'll say again, they were prophetic in understanding the times that they were in then. And there's nothing new under the sun. If you get a tyrannical government in power, your first right of refusal is the Second Amendment. That's why they put it there. That's what its chief intent was. It's not so Billy Bob can go hunting or some guys can walk around with AK-47 strapped to their hip.
Yeah.
It was put in place so that when government would become ever encroaching, which, when you think about it, Ken, government's very nature is self-serving. So you have a small government, as Ben Franklin would say, to keep them in check, and the checks and balances were put there. But I would say for the first time in history, we have government that's been centralized around the federal states' rights are no more. If you look at what took place with the marriage issue.
Yeah.
And they're looking to remove, under this false pretense that we know it all. We know more than God. We know more than human nature. We can govern ourselves, and we know what's best for you. Trust us. And was that Ronald Reagan that said that?
Yeah, yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I'm here from the government. I'm here to help.
I'm here to help. Shut that door, baby. Shut that door. We're talking with Lonnie Poindexter, and he is the host of a wonderful program, Lion Chasers. Can you tell everyone how they can get Lion Chasers and listen to you on a daily basis?
Certainly, brother. You can catch us Monday through Friday on urbanfamilytalk.com. That's urbanfamilytalk.com. And we broadcast from 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Eastern until 1 p.m. Eastern. And it's a show that what we're trying to do is we want to be like Ken when we grow up. And get the truth out about what's happening in our nation. You know, if I could duplicate what this brother is doing, and I do copy him quite a bit, so if you hear anything that's creative that comes from me, unlike Milton Berle, I've stolen from Ken McClinton.
I'm honored, sir. Thank you very much.
Let me also state that we're on 7 radio stations across America, ladies and gentlemen. We're on 7 radio stations, so we're also internet-enabled that you can catch us anywhere in the continental United States or in the world, for that matter, if you can get to the internet. But in the U.S., across this great nation of ours, you can catch us at 98.3 FM, WDFX in Cleveland, Mississippi, 90.5 FM, which is WQVI in Madison. You can catch us at 91.7 FM, WAJS in Tupelo, 91.5 FM, WJGS in Norwood, Georgia, 104.1 FM, which is WNKL in Rossford, Toledo, Ohio, and Rossford, Ohio, and also 1520 AM on WNWT in Rossford, and then finally at 88.3 FM, which is KARJ out of Boise, Idaho.
Awesome. I am so proud of you, sir. So very proud of you. Listen, for all of those who are following along at home and have listened to the president tell us that he's going to do stuff that may result or may not result in anything being done, it's amazing how Democrats get excited about someone maybe not. I guess all the years in the bedroom. But Bill, I received a picture of Caitlyn Jenner earlier today, but it was the funniest picture because in quotes around it, it said Bill Cosby raped me, and it's showing Caitlyn Jenner wiping her eyes or whatever. Bill Cosby. We talked last week about Bill Clinton versus Bill Cosby, and still, I'm at this particular point that why do you destroy a man except for the fact that you can? What is the purpose behind this?
Well, there's an agenda behind it, but let me first state that if Caitlyn said that Bill Cosby raped her, Bill Cosby didn't give her the roofie or him the roofie. He probably took the roofie himself. What took place?
A double dose.
I had to say that. There's an agenda, and the agenda is to kill what Bill Cosby represents, and they're looking to squash out every positive representation of traditional family. That's why shows are no longer on the air. And somebody else pointed out to me, they said, wow, okay, his shows are completely taken off the air, yet we have Charlie Sheen, who has admitted to having sex with women while being HIV positive without letting these women know.
Yeah.
Yet his shows still play every day across American syndication.
Now, we know that that's attempted murder based on some state laws. That's attempted murder, that you knowingly had a disease that you know will lead to death, and you still unknowingly for the individual, slept with them. He's on. No one has a problem, but I guess it's because he exudes the best that Hollywood has to offer in terms of a broken society, a broken lifestyle, versus Bill Cosby.
There it is.
Simply amazing. But along the Hollywood course of discussion, and I know that you spoke endlessly about this today with the number of turbans that called into your particular program, Will Smith, who famously donated money to the Nation of Islam for its march on Washington, where 30 or 40 people actually showed up for the Million Man March. He apparently has a son who is breaking barriers, I suppose, if we could do that, obstruction. Can you tell us about Jaden Smith?
Well, Jaden Smith is a 17-year-old cross-dresser, but he's being touted in fashion magazines as being groundbreaking and adventurous. And I talked about on my show is a parent held responsible for an underage youth who is acting in questionable behavior that is going to certainly affect him negatively down the road as he experiments based on how he feels that day. Sometimes he feels like dressing like a girl, sometimes he doesn't. And is this where we are? See, this all speaks to the tearing down of traditional norms, the redefinition of what true masculinity is. And so, unfortunately, Will Smith and his wife, Jada, are a typical Hollywood couple. And what I said on my show is that, you know, their children are going to pay a dear price for the experimentation that they're allowing those children to partake in under the auspices of being open and tolerant. You know, God established certain absolutes and norms for a reason. True freedom, my brother, is when you know where the boundaries are. It sounds like a contradiction of terms, but it's not. When you know where the boundaries are, you know within those boundaries you have perfect freedom to do whatever. Mm-hmm. But outside of those boundaries that God defined, King, you didn't define them, I didn't define them, God defined them. And so when you start playing outside those boundaries, you inherit the win. I think that young man's going to pay a price, and the family his parents are going to pay a price. And you're beginning to see that kind of thing take place when you look at Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Who is she today? Oh, yeah. My God.
You know, and
her father is in anguish about what his daughter has become.
Yes, I wanted to mention that to you because he being a country superstar, singer himself, being an actor himself, he knew what he was getting into and what she was getting into, and he didn't protect her.
Sure did.
Is that one of the requirements that God has for a father? You may not always agree with him, but his job is to, in the highest level, protect you from your own evil.
Preach, brother. First and foremost, his job as the high priest of the family is to protect. It's the reason why we have the bigger shoulders than women. It's the reason why we typically have more muscle mass than women, I guess with the possible exception of Serena Williams.
She's all woman, man.
She has more muscle than I have, but man, it looks good on her.
Yes, it does. And I can only say that because she's sleeping. So this will not be played back.
No, it will not be played back. You know, brother, you see what's taking place. And yes, Billy Ray Cyrus is paying a price now because of what he didn't do during her formative years, which is to protect her from Hollywood. And let me just go on and say, ladies and gentlemen, part and parcel to Miley Cyrus's issues is her father did not protect her as she went up through the ranks through Disney. See, that what you see is Mickey Mouse, the house that Mouse built, and that which we know as children. I went to Disneyland at least several times a year because I grew up in Southern California. Is not the Disneyland of that era.
Yeah.
Disneyland today, and let me just connect the dots for you, and I know Ken has done this already, but let me just repeat this. Disney owns ABC.
Yep.
Disney owns ESPN. Disney is the reason why you had Bruce Jenner getting the award that he got for Courage Award, the Arthur Ashe Award, as a transvestite.
Mm-hmm.
Disney. So Miley Cyrus came up through Disney. Oh, guess who else came up through Disney? Christina Aguilera came up through Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who else? who is the little lady that was with the Cosby Show all those years, Raven Simone.
Raven Simone.
Who, I don't know what's wrong with Raven. She's just out there. She's a professed lesbian today. All came through Disney, and many, many others. Justin Timberlake, all of them. I wouldn't have my children within a country mile of anything Disney owned.
Amen. I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Listen, we're coming to the end of the segment, and it would be egregious if I didn't raise this particular issue with you, because I'm going to talk about it in the fourth quarter of our program when we go commercial free. But I've been chastising President Obama and Muriel Bowser for their utopian views on gun control. But Speaker of the House Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell have left the Republican Party. They fully funded Planned Parenthood. They fully funded Obamacare. They fully funded the illegal aliens coming into our country. They fully funded the Syrian refugees and gave him absolute access to the Treasury without any restraint. Would a Republican under the Reagan administration have done such a feat?
Well, you and I both know the party's been infiltrated by those who just are interested in staying in power. They're not interested in accomplishing anything to change our nation. They talk a good game. This is the clarion call for those in the faith-based community to throw the bums out come election cycle this year. Whoever's up for election, you need to get rid of. McConnell and Ryan need to go. They got a bromance going on. McConnell's been bad. We were hoping that Ryan was better, but the predictions were he would do what he is doing now. I'm even disappointed in Gowdy right now. So,
yeah.
You know, these guys, I think once they get into D.C., they get assimilated into the board. That's what I think takes place. If you're a Star Trek fan, you know what I'm talking about.
Not while Star Wars is out, buddy. Did you see Star Wars yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh man, okay. No, I haven't seen it yet either. I think it's one of those things that we have to go see. We're doing it for the kids. Ladies and gentlemen,
you and I both.
Exactly. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, none other than Lonnie Poindexter, Urban Family Talk host of the Lion Chaser radio show. You can listen to him at Urban Family Talk, or you can dial up Lion Chaser radio show. You can Google it, or where can they go, sir?
They can go to urbanfamilytalk.com and catch our show. You can catch the archives as well and watch and listen to any previously recorded show as well. Let me mention in closing that we are building a pastors network, the Urban Family Pastors Network. If you're a pastor that wants to be about doing something in your community and connect with other like-minded individuals across the country, go to urbanfamilytalk.com and click where it says pastors. Take it 30 seconds to fill out the information to get you into our database, and we'll be connecting like-minded individuals across the nation with individuals like the exceptional one, Kenneth McClendon.
Thank you, sir. Well, God bless you, sir. We look forward to listening to you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. on Lion Chasers Radio. Thank you, sir.
All right, brother. God bless.
God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't end our program, but it does end a section of our program where we do commercials. We will go commercial free when we get back. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican, and then the Democrat.
This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm my type. If you're gone in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe. Bye bye. I just left swipe.
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Let's
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Let's swipe that.
Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff. Hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. But I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm my type. If you're gone in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe. swipe. Bye-bye, I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew. None of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy. Left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Left swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Left swipe that. Smoking at the prom. Left swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Nothing illustrates America's breakdown like the way the president's hometown celebrates its holidays. Memorial Day, 12 dead, 56 wounded. The 4th of July, 10 dead, 53 wounded. Labor Day, 9 dead, 46 wounded. This kind of third world carnage has become absolutely normal. If the president held a press conference every time multiple people were murdered by criminal gangbangers with illegal guns in Chicago, we'd hear from him almost every day. Instead, he says nothing. And the untold secret in Washington is that he has all the laws he needs to stop the bloodshed now. Under the existing federal gun laws, he could take every felon with a gun, drug dealer with a gun, and criminal gangbanger with a gun off the streets tomorrow and lock them up for 5 years or more. But he won't do it. His Justice Department won't do it. And the media never ask why. So convicted gangbangers carry illegal guns because they fear rival gangs more than they fear being prosecuted for a gun charge. Every police officer on the streets in cities like Chicago, Baltimore, and Detroit knows what it's like to get called to a murder scene, knowing full well who did it, because the killer was in the back of their car yesterday or last week. Thugs like Darius Brown, who was supposed to be serving a 10-year sentence for second-degree felony robbery, but got let off with 5 years probation. So he was free to roam the streets and kill a 9-year-old girl while she was doing her homework. If you want to stop violent crime, and I know you do, take violent criminals off the street. Prosecute them under the current federal gun laws and make sure they don't get to their next crime scene. That's the way to save lives. If the president held a press conference tomorrow morning and directed every federal jurisdiction to round up every felon with a gun, drug dealer with a gun, and criminal gangbanger with a gun, law enforcement would have thousands of violent thugs in handcuffs and squad cars by sundown. Instead, he waits for a crime that fits his agenda and blames the NRA. Mr. President, we will not accept blame for your failure. The NRA has demanded the strongest possible prosecution of the federal gun laws for over 20 years. Our repeated calls have been met by deafening silence from the Washington elites. President Obama and Hillary Clinton and other politicians use the carnage to campaign for more gun laws. They won't and don't enforce. And the good, honest Americans living out in farm towns in Nebraska or Oklahoma, or working 2 jobs in inner city Chicago or Baltimore, people who keep their heads down, raise their kids, and just try to do the right thing, they see through it all. We've lived through the Clinton administration's utter lack of federal gun prosecutions, and the Obama administration is following suit while the country suffers. And we know that a second Clinton administration will just mean more the same. Americans have no tolerance for violent thugs, no tolerance for the politicians who enable them, and no tolerance for a media that devotes endless time to new gun laws but won't even ask why we don't enforce the existing federal gun laws we already have. No organization has been louder, clearer, or more consistent on the urgent need to enforce the federal gun laws than the NRA. And in the face of mounting political and media pressure to demean, shame, and silence us, we will fight. If you have had enough of the dishonest debate, if you're sick and tired of politicians blaming you and your guns for their failure, demand truth and justice. Stand and fight with the NRA.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredient. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers, where we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck ham patty burgers, nice half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, infuse, indulge. Certainly do that this weekend. Do it this week. Cater your next event. It doesn't matter. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. Their telephone number 301-449-9000. People travel from around the world to eat at Infuse. It just goes with the territory. I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are so pleased. So pleased to be here with you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Mary, my bouncer, and I are having a conversation in the chat room. I love Mary. Mary is my bouncer, has been with me thick and thin all these years, and has watched us grow in all these years. And as we continue to grow, I will always have Mary at my side, most certainly. And I promise you, I will not do what I propose doing, because then I will get in trouble with my wife, who I just figured out will probably be listening to tomorrow's show. I don't want to have to deal with that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the first time that the President of the United States has decided to give an executive order regarding gun control. And Wayne LaPierre is correct of the NRA. If it took a killing for the president to act, then by golly, he should be exhausted writing for all the murders that have taken place in Chicago. Chicago, what a rumbling town. Gun violence reduction executive actions. And this is out of Forbes, baby. Forbes. Number 1, he issued a presidential memorandum to require federal agencies to make relevant data available to the federal background check system. Remember those 2 people in San Bernardino? They passed the background check system now, didn't they? Number 2, address unnecessary legal barriers. Notice how all of these are against good law-abiding citizens. All of these actions are against law-abiding citizens. They are not against criminals. So, if you're running for office, and Shannon Wright, I hope you're listening tonight. If you're running for office, you should just make it notably clear that the socialists are for the criminals. The socialists support the criminals. The socialists refuse to arrest the criminals. The socialists need the criminals to vote for them to keep them in power so they can reward the criminals continually. It's just as simple as they reward the criminals. I don't want to arrest them. It takes them away from their family. Wait, I've had a council member say that to my face. We don't want to put them behind bars for 5 years. That's intolerable. We need to make their sentences shorter so they can go back home to their family. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the person who killed my kid definitely needs to get home to their family. It must have been hard work killing somebody. Number 2, address unnecessary legal barriers, particularly relating to the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act that may prevent states from making information available to the background check system. That's the rule where your doctor now inquires of your kid while you're out of the room, where does mommy and daddy keep their weapons? Their firearms, sir? No, where do they keep their weapons of mass destruction? Yeah. Number 3, improve incentives for states to share information with the background check system. I thought y'all were doing that with the FBI. I just presume maybe I'm wrong. Certainly DEA, I don't know. Improve incentives for states. Number 4, direct the Attorney General to review the categories of individuals prohibited from having a gun to make sure dangerous people are not slipping through the cracks. Dangerous people are slipping through the cracks, sir. It doesn't matter what you write. They're doing it. That's how homicides happen. The majority of them, at least. Number 5, propose rulemaking to give law enforcement the ability to run a full background check on an individual before returning a seized gun. Number 6, publish a letter. Publish a letter. Nothing like writing a letter, Lennon. Publish a letter from ATF to federally licensed gun dealers providing guidance on how to run background checks for private sellers. Really? Okay. That works. Number 7, launch a national safe and responsible gun ownership campaign. I wonder how that's working for the criminals, sir. Can you give me some reports on how criminals are abiding by that responsible gun ownership campaign? Lock a gun up. Yeah, it's really working, sir. Number 8, review safety standards for gun locks and gun safes. Consumer Product Safety Commission. Maybe a unit we don't need anymore. Just saying. Number 9, issue a presidential memorandum to require federal law enforcement to trace guns recovered in criminal investigations. Really? Because Baltimore threw their program out. They said it wasn't working. Who knew? Number 10, release a DOJ report analyzing information on lost and stolen guns and make it widely available to law enforcement. Along with the report that says that pro-life people are terrorists. So put those both out there. Number 11, nominate an ATF director. Wow. Would have thunk it. Who would have thunk it? Number 12, provide law enforcement, first responders, and school officials with proper training for active shooter situations. Run! Number 14, issue a presidential memorandum directing the Centers for Disease Control to research the causes and prevention of gun violence. If I only had a brain. Number 15, direct the Attorney General to issue a report on the availability and most effective use of new gun safety technologies and challenge the private sector to develop innovative technologies. Yeah. Make certain that you create a gun that doesn't shoot. That way it makes it even for you and the criminal. Number 16, clarify that the Affordable Care Act does not prohibit doctors asking their patients about guns in their homes. Wow. And you thought you had a problem with the KGB, man. No. Number 17, release a letter to healthcare providers clarifying that no federal law prohibits them from reporting threats of violence to law enforcement authorities. Daddy's got a gun, call the cops. Number 18, provide incentives for schools to hire school resources officers. Number 19, develop model emergency response plans for schools, houses of worship, and institutions of higher education. Really? Wouldn't it just be easier if everyone could carry their own gun? Just saying. Maybe train everybody. Just saying. Number 20, release a letter to state health officials clarifying the scope of mental health services that Medicaid plans must cover. That has everything to do with gun violence, doesn't it? Did you know that homosexuality, lesbianism, transgenderisms, all those used to be mental illnesses? Did you know that? All you need is a vote. 21, finalize regulations clarifying essential health benefits and parity requirements within ACA exchanges. 22, commit to finalizing mental health parity regulations. And then 23, launch a national dialogue led by Secretaries Sebelius and Duncan on mental health. You are crazy if you own a gun. I think that was the campaign. You are crazy if you own a gun. Those are the 23 executive orders he's already done. And guess what? They've been ineffectual. So why does the power of the presidency put fear in the hearts of Republicans and Democrats? Partly because Republicans believe what liberals have trained them to believe. Yes, they are the walking monkeys. They have been enthusiastically embracing the fact that you, Mr. and Mrs. America, are the greatest threat to civilization, to Western civilization, because you have decided that the Lord Jesus Christ actually intended you to protect yourself. Justified by God is not justification enough. You see, you have to be approved by some liberal think tank or something. Someone out there has got to give you your thoughts. You can't be thinking on your own. Now, that's dangerous stuff there, man. Thinking on yourself. By yourself. Oh, my. So we're watching here. And I spoke with Lonnie about this earlier. What you vote for is what you believe in. So a Republican coming back and telling you that he doesn't believe in abortion, but he had to vote for the abortion bill because he did not want to shut the government down. No, your job is to shut it down when it's doing things that are unconstitutional. Not even-handed. Obsessively tyrannical. That's your job. Your job is to be a watchman. Miley Cyrus's father's job was to be a watchman, a protector. That is the greatest challenge. Not to give in and to compromise, but to protect vehemently, even when it may cost you something. Abortion. Fully funded Planned Parenthood. Knowing full well that there is no vetting, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have admitted there is no way to vet Syrian refugees, and yet the Republicans voted for it. You see, the Republicans are no different than the socialists. There's a block of conservatives that voted against Paul Ryan, but eventually they gave in. There are those who voted against the budget bill, but not enough. You see, they're all going back, hoping that you close your eyes and accept it that America is really a one-party system. And that party is divided up into 4 cube blocks. Some larger than others, some smaller than others. You have the small block, old established Democrat, who doesn't believe in abortion, but he votes for abortionists. Who doesn't believe in government handouts, but votes for the hander-outer, I suppose. He just wants what's fair. For the rich man to pay the price for being rich, and the poor man, you get a little something out of the deal. Then you have your wingnut extremists, libtards, who are really Marxists in disguise. And they take up a large block. They are the environmental wizards. They are the climate change mistresses. They are the ones who virtually are prophets and priestess of death and destruction to come if we don't serve Mother Nature. And serve her with dollar bills. Dollar, dollar, honey, dollar, dollar. Then you have the large established rhino section there that profusely stands in speech. I'm not for that type of thing, and when I get to Washington, I'm going to change it. And then they get to Washington and they look you dead in the eye and say, well, we got here, we figured out we couldn't change it, so we went along with it. And then you had a small microcosm of conservatives. You have some libertarians that, sprinkle and dab along that way, but they eventually drop out and fall to the wayside of the old established Democrat or the extremist liberal. But you have that conservative that believes that the power is not in the presidency, it's not in the Supreme Court, it is we the people. We the people that must protect ourselves because we are not given the effect of being protected by those with guns around us. That we have 10 rights that squarely establish the fact that we do not hand over the privilege of leading us to the federal government. Rather, the federal government must submit itself always to us. There are ranchers right now who are fighting the federal government, and I'm not saying taking over a federal building is the wisest thing to do. I'm not in agreement with that. But we do have a Bureau of Land Management problem. We have a scenario and a situation where there are individuals who believe that, quite frankly, they have the right to use land in the state. The unfortunate thing is there are people who are choosing to allow the U.S. Congress to act as a buffer to the National Wildlife Service to Parks, Bureau of Land Management. You see, Article 4, Section 3, Clause 2, of the U.S. Constitution speaks, the Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States. I don't know where we find justice in saying that nearly the entire state of Nevada has to be owned by the federal government. It was a given that these states would have places for settlers. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a primary constitutional authority for management and control of all of the real estate of the United States, and it's in the hands of we the people. The most unjust thing is for a man to have served his term in prison, been released, and then told he must go back to serve his term. I'm not saying that taking over a federal building is the wisest thing to do. But there are many American citizens, just as I am upset with how urban America is being handled, rue the day that the U.S. Congress has turned over its power to the presidency on managing our lands. We must fight both. How we do it must be succinct and wise. The way is not always easy, but it's not necessarily the best choice to compromise or to fall to a evil plan. I pray for the people in Oregon. I hope that they come to a resolution that's beneficial for all parties. But this is a wake-up call, America, to your congressman. The Bureau of Land Management needs to be audited. And we need to find a way to make certain that those lands which are protected under federal provision be justly given back to we the people. A man once told me never to be afraid or to live that way lest you die a coward. Be brave. I promise you I always will. Always remember, God has blessed America. Now it's time for America to bless God. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, for the Tuesday night version of the Exceptional Conservative Show, and we'll be talking about the true war that's going on in religion, Shia versus Sunni, and how it's spreading around the world. Janice Hall, J. Hall World Report, will be with us. Good night. God bless you from Washington, D.C.